The proof is undeniable, and you can measure and confirm everything yourself, eventually coming to the same conclusion as I did. It won't be a surprise for you to learn at this stage that you live on a flat, stationary and geocentric Earth. It is not hollow, potato or pear shaped. It is flat. It is a simple and obvious fact, and saying it is not true is like saying that the floor of the room you're in now can be round. But something happened during our development where we stopped trusting our logic and our senses. And I'm here to show you how and why it happened, why you were lied to, how they did it, and why it matters. I know you're dying to learn about some examples, as that's what you came here for, so let's look at it from a victim's perspective, because that's what we collectively are or were to the point of waking up. We need to admit that we're uneducated, but the important question that we need to ask ourselves is, what stops us from questioning what we learn at school? There is no proof for round Earth anywhere. You can't see the curvature, you can't feel the movement, you can't measure gravity, you can't go to space. All of it doesn't exist and never will, yet we believed in everything they taught us. They convinced us against common sense and laws of physics that water can stick to a rock and that it curves. Water doesn't curve, never will, and there is no example of this anywhere in nature. There are no tests that will prove Earth's movement, and when you get on a train like the Japanese speed train Shinkansen, you start having problems walking only at the speed of 200 miles per hour. But the Earth allegedly spins at 1040 miles per hour. The Sun moves around the center of Milky Way at the speed of 500,000 miles per hour, and our galaxy travels at around 1.36 million miles per hour relative to the cosmic background radiation that permeates the universe. Can you do the math? The Earth hurls through space millions of miles per day, everything around us allegedly expands, but for some unexplained reason, the stars we see above our head are perfectly still and the constellations haven't changed for thousands of years. This makes zero sense, and yet we believe in it. How can we be so illogical, accepting so many weird contradictions? Have you thought about the whole idea behind the ability of a plane to fly if the Earth was curved? On a globe, a plane flying from London to New York would have to constantly lower its altitude by about 1.50 miles every 10 minutes, not to fly out into space, ending up 220 miles above Earth at the end of the flight. There is no system or device like that to compensate for Earth's curvature on any plane. In fact, the whole concept behind a plane being able to fly is based on a stationary, non-rotating Earth. If it wasn't the case, a commercial airliner could never reach its destination, as the Earth, according to official measurements, rotates faster than the speed of the plane. Don't let anyone tell you that planes move with the atmosphere or some other absurdity. The atmosphere rotating in sync with the Earth violates all laws of physics. Atmospheric gases would need to have properties of a solid object to do that. There's also a lot of cases of emergency landings in absolutely impassable locations that make no sense on the globe. Yet they make perfect sense when you're looking at the map of a flat world. It happened to me, and I included that story in one of my previous videos. Every engineer who wants to construct or build any structure needs to assume that the Earth is leveled and stationary. You can't build anything without that. Ironically, NASA uses the same presumption in their engineering documents. What is wrong with humans as a species that this lie has been told to so many of our ancestors, yet no one has ever analyzed it to warn us that it makes no sense? All of our history is about Earth being a flat plane. The Bible is about that, cover to cover. It's only been about 100 years that they've been pushing this heliocentric nonsense ideology on us, and every ancient religion understands that it made perfect sense that the Earth was stationary and leveled. Why hasn't anyone told us that air and ocean currents, seasons, temperatures, flight patterns, and intercontinental shipping routes make no sense until placed on a flat Earth map? How come no one has ever questioned it? What have they done to us to make us so blind that we don't even look around? How can we not see that every 69 miles there should be a 1 degree drop in elevation, which equals a 26 feet drop every 62 miles? If there was a curve and if we were standing at the beach looking at the sunset, the sun would start going behind the horizon about 3 miles ahead of you. In order to see a line of light on the ocean's surface at the sunset, you need to be on a flat plane, otherwise the sun's reflection is going to be a dot of light behind the horizon. You would never get to see it. It's simple laws of physics and optics. Why do we believe so easily in the impossible? Why are we so dumb and illogical? We have barometers, yet we do not connect the dots to realize that atmospheric pressure requires a container. You can't have pressurized environment right next to the vacuum. According to the basic laws of physics, everything on Earth would be sucked out immediately into space if that was true. Not to mention that water in vacuum boils at room temperature. How can we be so naive? It's really embarrassing to believe all of this once we know that we're being lied to. We live in an imaginary world that was created for us. If the Earth was a globe, the sunrise would look completely different because it will all be lit up from the bottom up. It would look like this, but it doesn't. You probably don't know that, but every year on July the 8th at 11:15 a.m., almost everyone on Earth, except for Australia and New Zealand, either can see the sun or the twilight. It happens every year and it's impossible if we were on a ball, but it's perfectly understandable when looking at it from a stationary disk's perspective. What happened to us that we believe the TV more than we believe our own eyes? If no one told you that the Earth was a ball, you would know that it's flat. This would be the most preposterous and idiotic conspiracy to believe in, if we were not indoctrinated. Would you believe now it was a square or a triangle? If not, then why would you believe that it is a sphere? There is no evidence of it being any of these three shapes. The most distant visible mountains are located hundreds of miles away from us, like in the case of Pic Gaspard in French Alps, visible from Finestrelle in Pyrenees. The mountain should be hidden under 9.5 miles of curvature, but it's not. In fact, when using IR camera on a plane, we can see hundreds of miles into the distance with no problem. All of this should be impossible on a ball. How are we not angry about being lied to and deceived? Did you know that nobody is allowed to explore Antarctica and South Pole? It is the only treaty that every single country, no matter how hostile to each other, agreed to, and it is magically respected to this day. You can't go outside. They won't let you and they can kill you if you try to. And they explained it away with a naive fairy tale about protecting the penguins. Why is it easier to fool us than to convince us that we were fooled in the first place? There are 3 astronauts who on camera said that the Earth is either flat or that we've never been to space. Mirosław Hermaszewski, Igor Folk, and Buzz Aldrin. Look it up yourself. There is no known source of gravity and the definition of it is used actually only for the purpose of explaining spherical Earth. Gravity cannot be defined or measured mathematically, logically, nor empirically, as there is no magnetic field affecting the kinetic properties of organic matter. It is simply the density of objects, and that's the only law of physics that explains why everything falls to the ground. Why don't we realize that there are no ball-shaped magnets? For an object to have a north and south pole, it needs to be in the shape of a bar or a ring, which perfectly correlates with a flat world concept. It is also impossible to have a liquid metal Earth core, as the theorized source of gravity, because all materials lose their magnetic properties in liquid state. What did they do to us to switch off our ability to see mockery and evil? It was 1666 when, for the first time, an eclipse was recorded. This was the same year when Isaac Newton claimed to have discovered gravity. We're on a tilt of 66.6 degrees, and we're circling around the sun at the speed of 66,600 miles an hour. We're being laughed at, and they're not even trying to hide it from us. They even use flat maps of Earth in their logos, like in the case of the United Nations. It's right in front of your eyes.
Don't waste any more time. Visit the links above now and order my book 16 Emergency Landings Proving Flat Earth. Visit my online store now and order the new enhanced Gleason's Flat Earth map. This map used to be in every school and library in the nation before NASA was created in 1958, when the maps were ordered removed. Have your Gleason's map hanging on the wall in your house where no government can take it down. Here you see it hanging on a wall in the house of the late Charles K. Johnson. Here is a quote from the book 1984 by George Orwell. Every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Order your map now.